We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. Let's begin today with a very basic perspective about the way that we engage with one another, and that is, have you ever had moments with the people that are closest to you when you've just felt angry, agitated, irritable, tense? And of course the answer is, well, yeah. There are simply times when things don't go according to plan, or someone shows you gross misunderstanding, or they have done something completely contrary to what you thought they were going to, something of that nature, and anger shows up. It's simply a part of our humanity. Now, the next question I want to ask is, whenever you feel angry towards someone, do you go after them with an attitude of vindictiveness? And when I say vindictive, I mean you have this strong and unreasonable desire and need to punish that person and make them feel awful about what they've done to you. Well, I hope that those of you who are over here on Team Healthy, I hope you can say, well, I don't feel like I need to carry it quite that far. I mean, yeah, I can feel angry, but I don't have to be vindictive. I don't have to get my pound of flesh, so to speak, from other individuals. But when we're talking about narcissists, that's exactly what we're talking about. When they become angry, the anger becomes their stepping off point, if you will, towards a much more ugly form of communication. And it can be pretty bad, pretty mean. I mean, you know that there are these narcissistic individuals who, when you make a mistake or when you misspeak or you've disappointed them, they can come after you with a really strong vengeance to the extent that you're thinking, okay, I admit, maybe something was wrong, but it doesn't really warrant this overwhelming style. But there's something that I'm wanting you to be aware of that is going to be essential for you as you try to come to terms with the emotion that it generates on the inside of you when the narcissist comes at you with this vindictive nature. And again, I can't underscore enough that you need to know what you're dealing with. You need to know who your audience is, so to speak. Let's begin with the realization that narcissists have a deep history of feeling pain. They have a deep history of having felt belittled, or they're constantly running away from the possibility of being belittled. They have a deep history of unresolved conflicts. They have a low inclination toward trust. They're constantly in a compensation mode. They don't really know how to fuse their anger with their commitment to love and goodness and respect. They don't realize that it actually can merge together in a healthy kind of way. These are troubled people from the inside out. But instead of them saying, you know, that gives me some things that I need to work on inside of myself, whenever the anger shows up and whenever you disappoint them, they're thinking, I've got to take out my agitation, my pain, my misery on you, and you're going to pay for all of this garbage that I carry from the inside out. Now, we have a term for that. It's called displacement. Displacement means that a person can have some anger or frustration or tension that really belongs somewhere else, but it's given over to someone who doesn't really deserve the full brunt of whatever their emotion is. And there's also a lot of projection that's going on when a narcissist comes at you with a vindictive nature. They're seeing in you what they can't come to terms with about themselves. And so I want to see if I can zero in on 7 things that a narcissist is really coming to terms or not coming to terms with. 7 things that are going on inside of that person that prompts them to become vindictive. And as you understand these elements, then I'm hoping it can cause you to be able to have a sense of objectivity as you respond to them. Now, first and foremost, we're going to say that narcissists, when they come at you with harsh, mean anger of a vindictive nature, find seductive pleasure in making you squirm or in making you writhe in pain. You'll notice that they often use mockery or they use ridicule. They can use jokes at your expense. They can remind you of your ineptitude, and they can have this smirk when they engage with you. Now, when they do this, I want you to understand what that really says is this is them trying to turn the tables on their pain. Inevitably, what it implies is, I felt a lot of pain. I didn't like it and I didn't appreciate it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to compensate by making you feel pain. And in their mind, that somehow evens the scales. It's twisted logic, but that's where they're coming from. A second thing for you to understand is that narcissists are driven by envy. Whenever good things happen to you, or whenever you have, positive experiences, or even if you just seem to go through life being able to figure things out pretty well, they're envious. It's like, I want that to be something that I have. And so they can't take delight in the good things that are a part of your personality. They cannot take delight in the good things that happen to them. So what that tells us is, these individuals, when they go into their anger with that envy intact, are trying to convince themselves that they are the special one and you can't occupy that seat. And so it's knocking you out so they can put themselves in the special position. Now, a third thing that we can say about narcissists, and this is a strange thing to start with, but here it is, and that is, narcissists want you to understand their needs. Now, you might think, well, you mean by verbally beating me up and being abusive and harsh and condescending, they're trying to get me to understand their needs? And the answer is, all right, yes. It's a terrible strategy, but what they're saying is, I will not let you ignore me. And they're wanting to draw attention to the fact that they have hurts or desires or needs or preferences. And if they can come on strong enough and punish you enough, then you'll acquiesce and go along with that. But deep down underneath, what they're really saying is, I'm desperate to feel heard. I'm desperate to feel known, because that's not something they have in full measure from their deep history. Now, a fourth thing that you can pick up on from narcissists is that these individuals, narcissists, approach relationships with an ownership mindset. Now, by that I mean the closer they get to you, whether it's in home or marriage, or if they're the parent, if they're in a social setting or work setting, the closer you get to them, the more they have this notion that says, you're a piece of property and I own you. And as the owner, I get to make you do what I say is necessary. And so they want you to show fealty to them as the one who has the ultimate authority over your life. In other words, you exist to make them feel necessary. But when they come at you with this ownership mentality, and then it bleeds over into their vindictive mindset, what they're doing is they're secretly struggling against their own loneliness. Now, I hope that you can understand that fully. In their mind, they felt so separate at times from other individuals. They felt so isolated emotionally from other individuals. It's like, I'm not going to let that happen. When somebody comes into my world, they're going to know they're attached to me, and I'm going to make sure that they prove that they are. So their loneliness is actually driving that ownership mentality. They've got to have you tight with them. Now, another thing that we can say about narcissists, and this is kind of strange to think that this is also tied to their vindictive mindset, narcissists want you to admire them. And again, we could say, well, if them coming down on you and pummeling you verbally and all the rest is part of their strategies, that's a really lousy strategy. And my response to that would be, I totally agree with that. But narcissists have learned that it's the power brokers, at least this is their conclusion. It's the power brokers who are the ones that have the good life. And so when they come on in a real strong and harsh and unequivocally kind of mean way, it's their way of saying, I'm trying not to be a bottom dweller. That's what's really going on. So they have to elevate themselves so that they can allay that possibility. A sixth thing that we can say about these individuals is narcissists want you to take responsibility for their anger. Now, like I say, whenever you have a frustration or a tension there, you can feel it. Well, they can feel it too. And so rather than them saying, well, I need to take responsibility for my side of the equation, just as I would hope you would take that same approach, they're thinking, no, I've had plenty of anger in my past and it was done to me by other individuals, and I'm not about to take responsibility for it because everybody's done me dirty. And so, but in the meantime, what's happening is they're feeling inept. Their need to be vindictive over you indicates that they can't admit how inept they feel when it comes to monitoring and managing conflicts. Like, I don't know how to do it. So they just want to pound you into submission. And then finally, a seventh thing that we can say about narcissists is they want you to be accountable to them. Now, of course, the same doesn't go in reverse. Narcissists are scorekeepers. And so they're thinking, okay, I've done A, B, and C for you. You just did something that's not on the scoreboard that's going to be good. And so you owe me. But really, what they're compensating for on the inside is they can't admit that they fear being deemed as a loser. So when narcissists come at you with this really strong vindictive nature, it's going to be so important for you to understand that they feel as if the world has let them down. They feel that people in their past have let them down. They feel like crucial members of their family or in their life has not lived up to their expectations. But you see, they can't do anything about those people now. And so feeling inept, they just choose you to be the one to displace all of that strain and turmoil in. And their hurt, their pain has shaped their worldview. It has shaped their way of dealing with you. So there are certain conclusions that I think we need to zero in on. First, narcissists are vindictive because they feel like they've been cheated by life in general. They feel like they got a raw deal. Second, we can say that their vindictive attitudes and behaviors are a commentary about who they are. It's not a commentary about you. These are people who carry trouble, and I can promise you that if you were not the one on the scene, they'd find someone else to unload it on, which is why I say it's not about you. You happen to be the one, the vessel that they pour all of their misery into. And we're going to conclude then by saying until these narcissists are able to come to terms inwardly, not outwardly, but inwardly with managing their own pain, they're going to be the proverbial gift that keeps on giving. It's good for you to remember that. So know what you're dealing with, know what they're carrying inside, and I'm hoping that when you see these kind of characteristics, you're going to realize it's a cover, it's a displacement for much that they have not come to terms with. I hope that videos such as this can give you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. Sometimes what they show themselves to be up front, it does not match pitch at all with what they are behind the scenes. And so as part of my education here with you, I'm trying to help you see what you're dealing with. If you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. Gus back there doesn't have a vindictive bone in his body. And so Gus and I will continue to bring more videos in your direction. If you have a need for therapy, and I know many of you do, I'm so pleased to have been sponsored now for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. I've had good testimonials from people that have talked about how helpful it's been, and on top of it, it's very accessible, it's very affordable. We have a link below that can take you to that. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists, and if you sign up through the link there, you'll get a 10% discount on the first month. I would strongly encourage you to go in that direction as the need is there. Likewise, I have my therapeutic courses, and this is meant to be like signing up for an online class. And we have each course has multiple videos with written documents, guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making good connections. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We have my webinars that have already been presented but are still available for your purchase. In addition, we have my podcast, our website with lots of articles on there, my books, lots of resources. Narcissists are carrying around a lot of pain and hurt, and when they come at you with vindication, they come at you, they're trying to put it onto you. But I hope that as you're able to see through it, it's going to allow you to say, I'm on to it. I'm not going to participate because I'm committed to being a person of peace.